Yeah,
It'll be oily. And then,
oily or dry. Like some days it'll be dry, some days it'll be oily. I don't know.
what's like recently, like what is
Recently, well, since it's been cold, recently it's been kind of dry.
okay. But everywhere else pretty normal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi beauties, thank you guys for joining me on another tutorial. I just wanted to insert that first clip so you guys can see me doing like the intake and the type of questions I ask my clients to really understand what their skin type is. If you've watched my videos previously, you guys know that, or even follow me on my Instagram and things like that, or taking a class, anything like that, I always say that I switch up my techniques and products from client to client. Nobody's skin is the same. So whenever you are doing their skin prep, you need to make sure that if they have dry skin, you're using products that are geared towards dry skin, or if they have oily skin, you're using products that are going to absorb that oil so they don't get oily throughout the day and the makeup lasts a lot longer. So make sure that you take the time out to really understand your client and their skin, what they're going to be doing for the day before you really go in and apply anything. I feel like that's one of the most important parts of doing somebody's makeup is the steps you take prior to starting the makeup. So if you don't already include questions and things like that in your skin prep, I highly recommend it that you start. So I already have a brow tutorial, so to make this video shorter, I'm just going to start at where I did her eyes. So I'm going in with my Myron white, clown white base, and I'm applying that all over the lid. I actually like this more than the P. Louise at the moment, just because it has such a good color payoff and everything looks super bright. So I'm going to go in with a light brown shade to use as my transition. And I'm just going to start buffing out that shade starting at the front of the brow to the edge of her crease. And I'm really making sure that I'm circling in that shade before I go in with a deeper shade like I am right now. So I'm just starting at the inner corners of the eye. By doing this, you're bringing the focus towards the center of the face once you start to apply that shadow. And what I mean by putting the focus towards the inner portion of the face, as you can see, I'm not applying any shadow anywhere right below the brow. I'm leaving that to stand out so it really pops out that brow bone. And by focusing the shadows in this type of direction, it really gives it a doll-like look. And I'm also going to add some pink eyeshadow right along that brow bone to blend out those colors and add a pinky tone to the look without having to go in and really press in a pink shadow into the crease or anything like that. So now I'm going to apply a light pink eyeshadow into the inner corners of the eye before I start cutting the crease. When cutting the crease, you want to make sure that you're using a very flat brush. I personally prefer to use a rounded edge brush because it does a lot of the work for me. But when I first start off with the crease, if I have someone with hooded lids or something like that, I like to do the initial cut. That's what I like to call this, the initial cut on both eyes first as I'm going along, at least the first little edge, so I can map out where I'm going, and make sure that they're at least the same width. I don't want one to be bigger than the other by too much or anything like that. So that kind of helps me make sure that they're starting off pretty even. And as I'm going along that crease, I'm just following that shape that we made with the shadows that we put on previously. And I'm just pulling the initial cut down to blend out that product buildup. as you can see, this is the shape of the crease. You can see the direction I went in. We're going to blend that down so the bottom portion really doesn't matter once we start applying the shadows that we're going to do with this look. But as far as the top, I want to make sure that I'm blending out any excess product. You can see that line. I don't want it to be any product buildup right there. I want it to be extremely matte like this, so when I apply my shadows, there's not any type of excess buildup. So now we're going to do a reverse ombre on the lid using the same eyeshadows we used in the crease. So going in with that deepest brown shade, I'm going to buffer it out along the lash line, and then I'm going to go in with that lighter brown and buff out that dark brown shade onto the lid so that it doesn't look as harsh. At this point, that's how it's gonna look, and I wanted to add that pinky shade back in there because, you know, February, Valentine's. So I wanted to add a little pink in there, so I'm just buffing that color in to the lid. Make sure you take your time on this and go back and forth between the colors because you want it to be a very cohesive blend. So now I'm going in with this Marc Jacobs liquid eyeshadow. I'm not exactly sure on the shade, but I love to use these whenever I want to do a pigmented shimmery eye without necessarily using a glitter. But I decided I wanted to take it up a notch and use a glitter anyway. So yeah, you could leave it like this if you wanted to, but you know me. So I just applied a little bit of lash glue, and I'm patting on a custom mix glitter that I made a couple years back. And yeah, that's it on the eyeshadow for now. So what I want to talk about for this video, because I don't necessarily have a darker skin client video just yet, I want to talk about hyperpigmentation, just because a lot of women of color have hyperpigmentation, and when it comes to color matching, you have to take that into account. As you can see, the bottom portion of her face is a lot darker than the top of her face, and since she has a chest out, we're going to be matching to the chest. So I want to make sure that I'm going in with a shade that is going to not match the bottom of her face, but the chest area. With my clients who have hyperpigmentation, instead of going in and color correcting, what I like to do is use a brush for fuller coverage and use a full coverage foundation. A lot of the times I don't see the need for me to color correct on my clients as long as I prep their skin correctly and use the correct products. So I'm just making sure that I use a dense brush to buffer in that foundation, and then I'm going to go in and apply concealer along the high points of her face, the cheek area, along the bridge of the nose, the chin, cupid's bow, and forehead. And I'm also going to apply the contour along the cheekbones, the top of the forehead, as well as the nose. So taking that same foundation brush, I'm going to start buffing in the outer portions of the concealer and the contour. By using the foundation brush, it really helps mix those colors together and make sure that it doesn't have any harsh lines. On the off camera, I'm also rubbing any excess product onto a paper towel, so I'm not just brushing around excess product all over her face. So I'm making sure that I'm properly blending these products out and not having any harsh lines. So along the nose, I'm just going to make sure that I blend out that contour color before I go in with my brush or my beauty sponge, and then I'm going to use the sponge for the inner corner of the face to really give it a airbrushed and soft look. So once I get done blending all of the concealer, I'm going to set it with my Sacha Buttercup setting powder, and I'm really going to press this powder into the skin. I'm not really necessarily going to bake, I'm just going to press it in to make sure that it absorbs and sets all of those concealer areas. And then on any areas that we applied contour or cream contour, we're going to use our bronzer and apply that to set those areas and warm out the face. So y'all know I love me some blush, and for this look I feel like it's only right because it's pink, so of course you have to have a blushy pink. So I'm just going to apply that to the high points of her cheeks to really give it that jolly look, and I'm going to apply some setting powder along the nose to really snatch that nose area, and I'm also going to do that underneath the bronzer and blush as well to carve out that area and really give it a lifted look. Because she does have combination skin, I'm not going to let this powder sit on her skin for too long. So I'm going to go in with my finishing powder, my Max mineralized powder, and dust off any excess setting powder that might be on her skin to avoid any flashback. So at this point, my phone started tweaking, like people were calling my phone, so the footage was stopping and wasn't starting back and all different types of stuff like that. So I don't really have too much more footage after applying the lashes and things like that under the eyes. So sorry about that. I'm kind of thinking about getting the camera because while my phone does look nice, the storage and stuff and problems like that, it just keep on happening, you know? So if you have any camera recommendations, please leave those in the comments. But I'm just applying my Forever Rain lashes. Make sure you shop these fluffy, very bomb lashes. And this is the finished look. I added a few rhinestones and it just looks so cute. She's giving Black Barbie, like, it's so pretty. Let me know what looks you guys want to see next, and as always, thank you guys for watching.